Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith. This is Paddock Live. First of all, apologies for being late. We've been comforting producer Ethan.
He's back from Barcelona.
He's back from Barcelona, and he's just seen his team get knocked out of Europe, which is pathetic. Imagine getting knocked out of Europe in the group stage. Imagine finishing bottom of your group. Absolutely disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself. Never happened at United. Anyway, we've got loads of good stories to get through and some not so good. Get involved in the comments in the chat and hit that like button as well. And if you're not doing, subscribe.
Yeah.
Let's get to 730,000 subscribers by the end of this podcast. Who are we going to be talking about
We've got
tonight?
loads to talk about. Raphael Varane.
Varane.
There seems to be some sort of like strange update on his contract. Is it 4 years? Is it 3 years? We'll find out. Ten Hag's been linked with a move to, well, as you can see there, Borussia Dortmund. We'll get into that. Is it bullshit? What's going on there? Would it offer a sort of, and maybe an amicable escape route for Ten Hag from Manchester United? And we've got other stuff to talk about as well. Potential people leaving in January as well. So we've got all that to get into. Loads to get into.
Because it's been a testing week, hasn't it, as a Manchester United fan. And the worst test may be yet to come.
Oh, God.
I think, as they say. Do you know, I was telling you before I went about my kids this morning, because my daughter went to the Bournemouth game, and she was like, and I took my lad to the game last night, and my daughter went to the Bournemouth game on Saturday, my lad went to the game last night. My daughter's 7, my lad's 8. And my lad was like, oh, it was rubbish last night, United lost. And my daughter was like, rubbish? I watched United play Bournemouth, they got beat 3-0 and I got soaked. And he was like, what? I watched us get knocked out of Europe, we're not even in the Europa League. And I thought, they're arguing about how rubbish it is being a United fan.
Yeah,
like,
it's fantastic.
It's just like,
what's that old sketch of like, my dad went to work.
Yeah, we used to work 25 hours a day. We used to come on, beat us to death. Like, it's like that, innit? Just
who's got it worse than the United fan?
I was like, oh my God, I feel sorry for these children and I'm putting them through it. But it doesn't matter anyway, because everything's going to be all right.
Everything's going to be just fine.
Yeah, said with loads of conviction there.
I believe it.
Let's talk about Raphael Varane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go. Varane, VAR and decision. Leave.
I like it.
What do you think?
I like it.
It's not bad. Producer Ethan back with a bang.
Yeah, he did well there, because Ole did well for a bit, and then he fell off a cliff at the end.
Yeah.
It was like Bayern Munich's performance in the 1999 Champions League final.
Yeah.
He was doing really well, and then it all fell apart at the end.
It's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, this one, you've started strongly.
Yeah. Varane could become a free agent in this summer, with his contract set to expire a year earlier than publicised. I've never heard of this before, by the way. This is Laurie Whitlock from The Athletic.
Eh?
The terms of Varane's contract are such that his current deal with the club expires at the end of this season with the option of an additional year. When Varane joined from Real Madrid in 2021, United stated he had signed paperwork keeping it at the club until 2025, and during the defender's recent absence from Erik Ten Hag's team, there's been a perception that the club could sell him at the end of this season if desired. However, discussions about his future will need to occur sooner than later, with a 30-year-old able to talk to foreign clubs in January. That is, of course, if we don't activate this one-year possible extension. So it seemed as though United basically sort of said he's got up till 2025 with an optional year, and actually it's up to 2024 with an optional year. Or maybe United just said it was 2025, not mentioning the fact that the year was optional. I would expect United to activate that, even if we want to sell him, because you want to get a bit of money for him. But again, though, he's in that same position that we find ourselves in time after time after time. No other club in the world is going to pay him what we pay him. He's on, I think, close to £300,000 a week. No one else is going to pay him that, because he's probably not going to go to a bigger club than Man United, just because of his age and the fact that he's been slightly injury prone over the last few years. He's not going back to Madrid or, I hate to say it, to Man City or, a team more likely to win the Premier League than United. It's probably going to be maybe a team in Italy, maybe I think Bayern Munich were mentioned as well, and obviously Saudi Arabia is the one that probably would match those wages. But either way, it's going to be a bit of a tricky one, this, isn't it? And we find ourselves in this position again where, we're getting rid of someone who is, 2 years ago we signed him and it was all exciting, and now it sort of failed.
It has failed. And I like Raphael Varane. He's a very talented defender. And when he's fit and he's performing, if you're getting him week in, week out, he's as good as anyone.
Yeah.
But you don't get that. And this whole thing of almost every player on their day is mint at United. That's why they're at United. Sancho on his day is mint, he just never plays for us. Yeah. Marcus Rashford on his day is world class. Yeah. He's not had his day all season. Even Martial on his day is mint, but it's just when is he on his day? We keep having this sort of discussion about certain players and, oh, tell you what, on his day, he's the best midfielder on the planet, but he has his day once every 2 months or whatever. Yeah. And it's the same with Varane. He is class. He is quality. He will go down in history as one of the best defenders in the modern era. Genuinely.
Absolutely.
4 Champions Leagues, a World Cup. You don't win them. 3 La Ligas, all the rest of it. You don't win all that if you're not very, very good at what you do. So he deserves his flowers. But for Manchester United, he's getting to a stage now where he's not useless, but how much can you rely on him? He's either injured or his performances are okay. I don't see a performance by Raphael Varane where I go, mint. That's the kid that won the Champions League at Real Madrid. And I do like him, but I think if we are going to get ruthless, and if he's on loads of money, then maybe he does go in the summer. Yeah. Maybe even as a free agent. Because if he stays for another year, and he's on 300k a week even, what's that? I mean, I'm crap at maths. Was that what?
18 million quid?
18 million quid in
right?
wages?
3 times 5?
I'll let you.
Is 15, sorry. Yeah.
15 million quid, right. So,
which is a fucking load, by the way. One of the highest paid players in the world.
What are you going to get for him anyway? Like, let him go. Get involved with some of the comments in the chat. Witterbird Vicky has gifted 5 Stretford Paddock memberships. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Vic. She's always supporting the channel. We really do appreciate it, and people can take advantage of those 5 gifted memberships. Make sure as well you are hitting that like button. And don't forget, we are going to be in Dublin on the 28th of December. Me, him, McCullough, Howson, and Wesley Brown, the hardest man in all the town. We're going to be there 28th of December at the Red Cow.
Cannot wait,
you can get over to Dublin, or if you're already in Ireland, or if you're in Dublin, come and pay us a visit, come and get involved. We'll have a chat, we'll have a meet up, we'll have a laugh and all that, and a drink and whatnot. I'll be on the Pepsi Max Cherry, Joe will be on Bitter or Guinness.
Stretford, Paddock,
it'll be a good laugh, and we appreciate all your support. We had a top night last time.
Come on.
I'll get in some of these comments now. Chris Griffith says, long-time viewer, finally I'm a member, cheers. Witterbird, yes, thank you. We're going to have extra content on the members section as well. Loads of people praising Vic for the generosity. Thank you. Liam Westy says, can Tom Huddleston still play in the first team? Him and Mainu at weekend, please. Kobe Mainu came on last night, and within 30 seconds showed more about him than I'd seen from the rest of the team in the entire game before that.
I know.
I think he did 2 tackles in the first 30 seconds, didn't he? Just got stuck right in.
And a couple of nights, a good ping pass out to the left wing as well. He just looks very promising, doesn't he? And in a sense, I'm frustrated on his behalf that he's not starting more games. But also, we always talk about this, and you talk about this in particular, Jay, about how other teams bring youngsters through. Starting him, against Bayern Munich in a must-win game, that even if you win, let's not forget, United could have still not got through the Champions League, still a sort of disappointing into the Europa League. Like, starting him in those sorts of games when you're playing against the likes of Musiala, Goretzka, Kane, Sané, Coman, like, there's potential there for him to be embarrassed and sort of hindered in his development. I don't mind him not starting games like that. The problem for me is the people who are starting aren't any better than an 18-year-old who started 2 games in his life for Man United. That's the real issue. You shouldn't really be starting, kids in big games like that. And obviously, sometimes you do and sometimes it works. But for the ideal development of him, I don't mind he didn't start. But the fact that McTominay is playing ahead of him, that's the issue. Yeah. Youngsters should be brought through in a way that helps them. And at the minute, you always think, well, we can't afford to do that because the alternatives aren't any better. And that's where you find yourself playing people through bad form and them getting sort of, irreparably damaged in their career going the way you don't want it to. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword for me, that one last night.
Yeah, I was very disappointed with the midfield last night. I was watching, when you're at a game and you can sort of watch certain players when they're off the ball.
Yeah.
Because you don't see that on the telly, do you? Because the cameras tend to focus on... you see it to a certain degree.
But not the same, no.
Yeah, but the cameras are obviously focusing on where the action is. And some of the movement from our midfielders is just disgusting. It really is. And I just think, you're either lazy or you're just not clued up. It's like, I can't believe what I'm watching. And then he comes on, he reads the game well, he knows where he's got to be, he knows how to ping a pass, he knows when to tackle, he knows when to go for the ball, when not to. Yeah. And you think, he's 18 years old. Like, some of you've got 11 years on him, and you're acting like you've just started playing football this morning. It was just a really poor performance. I know Erik tonight came out and called it very good. And it wasn't terrible, because let's face facts, we've had worse. The Bournemouth performance was worse. But for a game that we had to win, so was it one shot on target? It wasn't good enough. No. And I do feel sorry for Kobe Mainu because he's coming into a side that are really struggling. And you just don't want him to go the way of Anthony Elanga, someone like that, where if his form suffers, you keep playing him week in, week out because he's one player that will try.
And Højlund is another one that's being sort of put on that train at the minute.
Shout.
He's a young lad who's played, less than 100 first team games in his career before joining Man United.
Yeah.
And he's having to play week in, week out because despite the fact that he's not scoring very many, because the alternative is an Anthony Martial who doesn't even look like he wants to be there.
No.
That's not Højlund's fault. And Ronaldo, who obviously we see on the channel and on Steve's channel, is sort of really focusing on this at the minute. The idea of Højlund being sort of damaged and his career being damaged by the situation he finds himself in at Manchester United. And it's not fair on him. It's just not fair on him at all.
No, I completely and utterly agree. Just for the sake of accuracy, Varane is on about 13 million quid a year.
Okay, so not far off. My maths was all right.
That's Sir Hugarassi, he's about that, isn't he? Or is it Tyrell Malacia?
Yeah.
You can buy one of them for that money.
I don't know where he is, by the way.
He's had this injury that I thought wasn't that serious, but it's been about 5 months.
Like a knee injury or something.
I don't know. It's weird.
He had surgery and then he had a bit of a step back.
I'm not having a dig at Malacia because I like the kid, but I don't think it's like one of those where when you're listing the reasons United have struggled because of injuries, you don't tend to list Malacia as one, do you?
No.
You don't tend to go, we're losing we've lost Martinez, we've lost Eriksson, Mount's been out, Malacia's been out. It doesn't quite ring true, and that's not just being disrespectful. He's a backup left back who's okay. But we want to see him back. I wish the kid well. Let's move on anyway.
Let's move on then to this big story here.
Guten Hag.
That might be the best one he's ever done. Guten Hag.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Brilliant.
That's fantastic, isn't it? Although, what is it? Thank you in German.
Good day, innit?
Good day. That's
Guten
that,
Hag.
and look at it as well. It looks good. That's one of the best we've ever had. That.
Yeah.
Guten Hag.
Yeah.
Guten Hag. It almost says Goten Hag as well, which it doesn't need to and it doesn't mean to. But that is beautiful. That is genuinely. You could see that on the back. You could genuinely see that on the back of a tabloid newspaper. That would be at home on the back of the Daily Mirror right there. That's fantastic.
I think that is. Yeah. I think I agree with Joe.
Yeah.
I know you've not had the easiest of evenings tonight, but you can take solace in the fact you've come up with a pun that is worthy of the back pages of any of Britain's national newspapers.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Genuinely fantastic. Erik ten Hag has been linked, and this is interesting, with the Borussia Dortmund job, according to former Norway striker Jan Åge Fjørtoft. Now,
you see, the second sentence negates the first.
Yeah, I know.
Like, the first one is really interesting, and was it?
Yeah.
And the second one says, but not really.
Yeah. So
I've translated it for you. Erik ten Hag has been linked with the Borussia Dortmund job. Not really, though.
Not really.
Yeah, because...
So let me read this first.
Well, you read it out.
So ten Hag's future hangs in the balance after United's calamitous start to the campaign. Borussia Dortmund are currently 5th in the Bundesliga with 25 points from 14 matches. Edin Terzic, also a man under scrutiny. However, Dortmund have already qualified for the Champions League round of 16. Show-offs. Jan Åge Fjørtoft posted, wild rumour in Germany, Ten Hag could be the new coach in Dortmund. Remember, Sammer has employed Ten Hag before at Bayern. Let us see what happens in the new year. Talk to me about Jan Åge Fjørtoft, Jay, for those who don't know much about him.
Right, Jan Åge Fjørtoft. I'll give you a brief description of why he's famous, why we know him. Swindon in 1993, I think it was, came into the Premier League via the playoffs, managed by Glenn Hoddle.
Was this pre-England?
Yeah, he was at Swindon, then Chelsea and England.
Great.
So this was 1993. Swindon came up, proper rags to riches tale, little Swindon, small little club. Got into the Premier League, the big boys, managed by Glenn Hoddle, former England star. Everyone's like, oh, crikey, this is, amazing. And they had one of what can only be described as the worst seasons in top flight history.
Great.
Jan Åge Fjørtoft was their striker. And he didn't score for about 6 months.
Great.
Right? So you've got a striker who's not scoring any goals, you've got a team that's just terrible. Like, they were just...
Yeah. I mean, imagine having a striker that doesn't score any goals and a team that's terrible.
Well, Rasmus Højlund can
fan.
actually take solace from Jan Åge Fjørtoft, because then what happened was Fjørtoft went on this goal-scoring run where he was scoring loads of goals. Remember, he used to do the airplane celebration, scoring loads of goals, and he scored when I say loads, he scored 14 goals or whatever.
That's not bad.
But he was good, and he was like the one everyone, crikey, Swindon are terrible, but he's banging him in. So he's a bit of a name for a gentleman of a certain age like myself.
Okay.
Now, he's sort of reinvented himself as a bit ITK.
Right.
And he does interviews, he gets access, and he does these tweets, and he's like, oh, I've heard this, and this is going on. Now, I really like him for one reason and one reason alone. About 3 or 4 months ago, he tweeted at about 7:30 on a Monday night, something, I'm paraphrasing, big news, confirmed, Jude Bellingham to Liverpool is on. Right? Deal agreed. Right? Now...
Yeah, finish the story, but I think we know where this is going.
If you're a Liverpool fan, you want Jude Bellingham because he's arguably the best midfielder in the world.
If you're a Liverpool fan, your boxer shorts explode clean off.
And they did. Yeah. And collectively, Liverpool Twitter went, right, mobilise, and all the memes of Jude Bellingham in a Liverpool kit went out there.
Across Merseyside.
It was like, he's basically at Anfield now playing for us.
Retire his number before he's even played.
Yeah, it was. It was like every Scouser with access to the internet just posting like how buzzing they were that Jude Bellingham was here. All the memes, pictures, we're going to win a lot. This is our year. Yeah, move over Man City. Fucking great stuff, right?
Yeah.
So journalists have obviously seen that Jude Bellingham's trending, moving to Liverpool. They've got on the phone and gone, interesting. Let me just ring up one of my contacts, who've then gone, no, a deal has just been agreed with Real Madrid.
Right.
He's literally on a flight to Madrid to sign now. So all the journalists started running their story.
Yeah, because now I think about it, Jude Bellingham doesn't play for Liverpool.
He doesn't. He plays for Real Madrid.
So he must have got it wrong then.
Yeah. So all the journalists, like immediately after this, because they've thought, what's going on here? We better check our sources are right because we're about to run a story. They started tweeting, Jude Bellingham to Real Madrid confirmed. All the Liverpool fans started going...
Right, pick those boxer shorts back up. We're going to glue them
not
back
in a
together.
good way they were before.
No.
And I absolutely loved it because I thought it was hilarious.
That is quite hilarious.
So I do like him, but if he says it's Tuesday, I'm checking the calendar. Do you know what I mean? The guy doesn't know anything.
Okay, because I saw this doing the rounds tonight.
Yeah.
And I wondered, is there anything in this?
No.
Do you think just taking away the truth of it for a second?
Yeah, that's spoken like a true solicitor.
Spoken like a true.
Where were you when I needed you in court? Taking away the truth of this case,
ladies and gentlemen,
my client is innocent.
If we take away the truth of this for a moment, can I just point you to just this concept of him sort of leaving for pastures new rather than being sacked?
Okay.
Do you think that's something that could happen? Because we never really see that with top clubs, do you? You never see, a manager's left, he's been poached. You see that the other way round with a Brighton, getting Potter taken off him to Chelsea. Do you see this as something that just theoretically is even possible? Like, I know Dortmund do well, but they're a smaller team than United, aren't they, obviously?
It could happen, and I just wonder how high Ten Hag's stature is in Germany, for example, or in other countries. Yeah. Because I think when he left Ajax, he was one of the most sought-after coaches in the world.
Absolutely.
You've got your Guardiolas and your Ancelottis, and then just be like probably your Klopps or similar level.
Yeah.
And then I think you have your Ten Hag.
Yeah.
And it was like, he was that well respected. I think if Pep had left City would have happily had him because he was flying at Ajax. Yeah. And it was like, this guy, tactics are great.
You know what? I think he would have won the league with them as well.
I think he would have because he was, let's not forget, he got United to third.
Yeah, he's a very good manager.
He's a very good manager. But this season, he's having a bit of a stinker. Yeah. To lose 12 out of 24 games, whatever it is horrible. Yeah. The Champions League campaign has been a disaster, and some of the results have been terrible. But I don't know whether people in Germany or wherever are going to go, well, United are a mess. Yeah. He inherited a mess. He's had a good season with him. The wheels are coming off. They've got a load of prima donnas who can't be bothered. It's not his fault. Or they go, he spent a lot of money. He's not continued the good sort of start he had. He's not the guy that we thought he was. I don't know. I'm guessing his stature is still pretty high. Yeah. I do think people look at United and just go, we're a shambles, and it's not the manager's fault. No. I do. Because I think any manager that's left United, barring other than Ole, has pretty much got a job straight away. Yeah. Like Louis van Gaal, when I think wherever he went, Netherlands. Yeah. Jose went to Spurs. I know it's a step down for United, but it's still a big club. Yeah. Moyes went to Real Sociedad, I think, didn't he? So he still somewhat wanted him. He was like, come and have a go in Spain. So I still think him to Dortmund isn't the most ridiculous thing. But if they have got through in the Champions League, I don't know whether... If you've just been locked out of the Champions League, bottom of your group, and you've got a club that are through to the last 16, are they going to go and get you to come and take over? I don't know. It seems a bit of a weird one.
I'd just be gutted if he left. I would. I just don't want it to happen at all. I really do think that, you put Ten Hag in charge of City or Liverpool, he does an excellent job with them. And conversely, if you put Pep in charge of United now, we might be doing slightly better than we are because obviously he's one of the best managers ever. I'm not going to deny that. But we won't be winning the league.
No, we're not winning the league with this team.
We just can't. It's impossible.
I think
my biggest worry for Ten Hag at the minute is that let's just say dream scenario. We get this 25% investment from Jim Ratcliffe, which leads to a 51, 79, 69, whatever it is, percent investment. He takes over the football inside, and let's just say it clicks. Everything's perfect. Even if that's the case, which is very difficult to do, you're looking at a minimum, I think, of 18 months to 2 years before you 3, 4, 5 correct transfer windows in a row, structure's good, scouting good. I still think it's going to take 2 years to become a title challenging team. And I don't think that Ten Hag will last that time, regardless of how good things are above him. My worry is that he's not the wrong man, it's just the wrong time. And no matter what he does, he can't possibly survive long enough to prove how good he is because of how poor we currently are. Do you know what I mean? When you look at City, it took them 5 years. I know they were way worse than United are now, but it took them 5 years from the takeover to winning their first league title. If it takes United 2 or 3 years, he might just be the Mark Hughes in all of this. Do you know what I mean? Where it just, he just happened to be there too early for it to really click. And then that's my worry with him, is that it's not his fault. He's a good manager. He's capable of winning the league, but it's just going to take too long with the current structures above him for him to be able to last long enough to win the league. Do you understand what I mean?
I completely understand what you mean.
Yeah.
I do. I just feel, and I agree, and I feel that these games coming up, everyone's focusing on the Liverpool game, right? We've got West Ham away after that, and we've got Villa at home. We can lose all those games. Yeah. Like, even if he survives the Scousers, right? If we get beat, say we get beat 3-0 off the Scousers, and you go, actually, that's not the end of the world because we've had worse, let's face facts. Yeah. No one expected us to win that game. Liverpool, good chance to win the league. Okay. Yeah. We're not going to sack him because he lost 3-0 at Anfield, even though it's a terrible result. It's not as bad as it could be. You've then got West Ham away. A losable game.
Horrible fixture.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, you can easily lose that game.
And a crowd and a team as well that would love the idea of kicking us while we're down.
Everyone, Moyes would have a field day. They've got good players. They can get a result against big teams. And they're not terrible. They're a decent-ish team. They get a result there. Then it's like, and you go, okay, it's away. It's at West Ham. It's a difficult one. Get back to Old Trafford. Get our house in order against Villa. Villa are flying. Yeah. Villa could quite easily come to Old Trafford and beat us 2-3, 4-0. Yeah. I know that sounds melodramatic.
Well, Bournemouth did.
Yeah. Villa are better than Bournemouth. Yeah. And then you go, this guy's got to go. Yeah. He's lost what would that be, 15 games or whatever, out of 30 or whatever it is, 27 or whatever. I'm getting my maths all wrong, but he's lost the majority of his football matches this season. Yeah. And we're losing at home to Villa, we're losing away at West Ham, we're getting back off the Scouts again. So I just don't know if he survives this. Yeah. I hope he does. Because there's part of me, right, with Erik Ten Hag, it's not even about Ten Hag, it's about these players with me. I just feel like they're getting away with it again.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel like some of them have already looked over the shoulder and gone, this manager ain't going to last. No. We'll wait this one out. Like we
not even wait this one out.
Like
we can just... Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I think it's slightly more active than that. I think there's some players that are probably thinking, I can put extra pressure on this guy without myself looking like a dickhead. Yeah. I can just, maybe I won't track that run. Maybe I can't be arsed with that. Maybe I'm not going to, it gets to the point where we've heard players in the past, ex-pros and all that. You see people, the players would never do this. Well, then you see interviews and podcasts with players who say, yeah, we didn't give a fuck. We wanted the manager out. We didn't like him. Yeah. We were trying to get him sacked. You hear people say this. And yet when you say it, people go, oh no, professionals wouldn't do that. They've got standards. Whenever they go out, whenever they cross that white line, it's 100%. Well, we know it's not. No. Because we've seen former professionals who have won big trophies as well talk about, you know what, just at that time in my career, my head wasn't in it. I couldn't give 100%. All right, well, maybe that's happening now. And I just think I can't bear another, like you said, another manager just being allowed to just get nudged out the door. Because it's just horrible.
Do you know what it is as well? One of my mates went through this when Jose got sacked and Ollie came in and we started winning. And he didn't enjoy it because he got angry. Yeah. Because he was like, these are the same players that couldn't be bothered for Jose.
Couldn't pass a ball 5 yards under Jose.
But now, because Ollie's being nice to him, they can be bothered again now. And they're playing really well. So even though he's a big United fan, he's as big as United fan as you can be. Followed the team around the world, made sacrifices to watch United. He is a red. He was angry when we were winning. Because we used to take the mickey out of him saying, you're never happy. You're not happy when we lose. You're not happy. And he's like, I'm just so annoyed. He stopped going for a bit.
Yeah.
He's like, I know it sounds stupid, but I'm annoyed because I'm seeing these players that just last week could not be bothered, and now they can.
And it was instant with Ole as well, wasn't it?
And it's like
overnight transformation.
I didn't take it to that extreme. I was loving the wins and all that. Yeah. But I got his point. And this is what you'll see. If he got sacked, someone would come in. I don't know, let's say Darren Fletcher takes over. Yeah. Darren Fletcher's not a tactical genius or anything. He just picks the same similar team that we've had before, maybe 1 or 2 changes, and we have a game against, I don't know, whoever, and we smash him, and you go, wow, this is so much better, and Ten Hag was the problem. It's not though, is it? It's the players, and that's what worries me. Because I don't like hating on United players, but I'm just getting into that feeling where they're becoming a bit dislikable again. And it shouldn't be like that, because you like to think that your team has the same ambition and drive and everything as you have, and the same passion. And I just sometimes look at it and you think, like you saying, are they really feeling this? Are they really giving it a all? Get involved in the comments in the chat. Me and Joe being harsh. What do you think? What is going on? I want to know what you guys think. Brian Casey says, manager is not the issue. Almost same squad that failed. Ollie and Ralph. Miss Man United says, we all know who these players are too. So that's my missus, she's getting involved in the chat. Carnivore says, Ollie did better with a worse squad and we sacked him, but keep Erik Ten Hag. Does that make any sense at all? I think this is the point I'm getting to. When do you stop? When do you draw this line? Yeah. We're just constantly going to be in this cycle. And also, the Ratcliffe thing, are we sacking a manager and then he's going to come in?
Well, I can't see that happening. I think the problem with Ole that he never managed to overcome was his CV just wasn't strong enough to get him through the difficult patch that we saw.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't going to, that first difficult patch at the end of his first season, we were never going to sack him, 3 months into his career. But when it got to that second difficult patch, 2 and a bit years in, you can't look back and go, I'm going to say, I know it's bad now, but look at all this stuff I've done.
Yeah.
There's no previous club. I know Mulder, it's not easy to win a league title. He did well there, but that doesn't carry much weight when it comes to managing Man United. And, losing finals, losing semi-finals, a reputation for sort of near misses and bottling it. Yeah. I think that cost him. Ten Hag at least has got the Carabao Cup. He's got an FA Cup final. And yes, we lost it, but we lost it to, it wasn't Villarreal, was it, like the Europa League under Ole? It was one of the best teams of all time in terms of last season's Man City. And he's got this stunning CV at Ajax as well, where he won the league every year. There was a fucking league that he was there. So that's what's keeping him on at the minute, I think, his reputation in the game. No, absolutely, because, he came into he's the first manager we've had who I think came in with his stock on the rise. Moyes had stagnated, done okay, just been at Everton a long time. Ole hadn't really, he'd been relegated in his last job. But then Van Gaal was 10 years past his best. Jose had just been sacked from Chelsea. Ten Hag came when he just won 3 titles out of 4. And he's never failed anywhere. No,
he's done all right on it. Yeah. The only season he didn't win the title with Ajax was because there was no title because of COVID. So there's just someone, I think it was Whittaker, put something in the chat saying about the Telegraph, just posted something. It says, Erik Ten Hag at risk of Sir Jim Ratcliffe axe. It says, club's current hierarchy sympathetic to problem faced by Ten Hag, but it remains to be seen if Ineos will be as tolerant, which is what we're saying. Yeah. Jim Ratcliffe might come in and go, right, you can do one. I think he'd be better served giving him to the end of the season. Yeah, I'd love it. And honestly, I know Erik Ten Hag's getting a lot of stick in a minute, but I personally would like Jim Ratcliffe to come in and whoever and go, right, this manager's here to the end of the season, and at the end of the season we'll make a decision on the manager and we'll make a decision on some of the playing staff. Or something like that. So let the players know they're on notice as well. Yeah.
Let's assume that Ten Hag is done. He's getting sacked no matter what. Let's just assume that. If you're the next manager, we either go for an interim, which was an absolute disaster in Ralph Rangnick last season, which is no good. There's no point in doing that. Terrible. Or you bring in the next permanent manager. Let's say it's Zidane, right? Yeah.
Well, won't happen, but I know. No. I know what you mean.
So his job in his first, let's say he comes in end of December, we're 8 points off top 4. Go on then, have a go at that. That's harder than bringing him at the start of next season when we are 0 points off top 4 because everyone starts on the same points. You're literally bringing in the new manager to a harder job than you would if you gave him till the end of the season. And there's literally no reason to do that.
I think Zidane's become this sort of unicorn that I've seen a lot of people saying, get Zidane in, look what he did at Real Madrid, one of the greatest players of all time, was it 3 Champions Leagues or whatever. Yeah. I mean, he's just,
amazing achievement.
He comes into this team. I don't think he speaks English. It's not the end of the world. You get a translator. He doesn't know the Premier League in the ins and out of it. He's never managed it before.
Or played it.
Yeah. He inherits a team that is bang average. Yeah. He's up against at least 2, if not 3 teams in Arsenal, City and Liverpool who are mint. Yeah. I hate them all, but they're all extremely good. And you can probably throw Aston Villa into the mix as well. And you're told to go and sort it out and catch him. He must look at, no. That is an awful job. Why would I risk my reputation, which is as high as it can be, to come here and go for all that? And people go, well, we'll pay him a lot of money. He's got a lot of money. Yeah. And he'll lose money if he comes here and fails in the long run. Yeah. He doesn't need that. If he wanted loads of money, he'd just go manage in Saudi Arabia for a year and nobody would care what he did there. No. So I think that would be a silly move from him and also a risky one from the club, because even though I like Zidane, I don't think he's necessarily the guy who's going to come in and sort this mess out. Let me know what you think in the comments in the chat. Joe, you got one final one for us?
Yes. Well, we've got a couple more, actually.
Go on, we'll whiz through these, because
yes.
time's dragging on.
This is coming out of The Athletic. So this is Getafe talking about their sort of stance on Mason Greenwood. So we've got Getafe green light transfer. So here we've got their president, Angel Correz, confirming that the Spanish club will consider permanently signing Mason Greenwood. He said, we've not talked about price. We have talked about looking at the situation and seeing what they propose, because there's also been a change of shareholder there at Manchester United. But we are still happy with the meetings and with the video conferences we have with them. It's still too early to consider either continuing for one more season, or will they propose a price, or that they will propose a price and we will commit to the whole of the contract because we have a percentage to buy the rest. Did you see this? That apparently if we don't sell Greenwood to Getafe, they get 20% of the sell-on fee. Have you ever heard of that? I know this is a situation generally that we've never really heard of, but like giving someone, do you think it was obviously an incentive to take him, wasn't it? Yeah. Because he was, untouchable by a lot of clubs. But I've never heard of that in my life. Take him on loan, and if we don't sell him to you, we'll give you 20% of the sell-on fee. I guess it was encouragement to take him.
It was a very unique situation.
Yeah, it was.
Wasn't it? For the reasons that we all know, we don't need to go into them. So I'm guessing it was almost like all bets are off. Yeah. This is a deal that's not going to be done ever again. Yeah. But we're doing it now because we need to get him playing football. We want him to play, he's not exactly in demand from everyone because of what's gone on. So you take him, here's why it's good for you. If he plays well, you get a player that potentially can be world class. And if he doesn't, or even if he does and moves on, you're going to get a little tickle out of it. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Mason Greenwood. Yeah. It's a discussion that can rumble on, but at the moment, it looks like he might be staying at Getafe, or he might not. Let's go on to this one then. United selling 5 players in the January transfer window. So this is coming from the MEN, and I suppose it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Here we go. Sancho, Casemiro go, etc. Sancho, Casemiro go. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. I like it. Do you know what I mean? It's not bad. Sancho, I really like. I quite like actually. Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah, that's all right. Good. Manchester United will listen to offers for several players in the January transfer window. United are open to selling Raphael Varane, Casemiro, that's the one to me that doesn't make a lot of sense, Martial, Sancho and Donny van de Beek. Financial fair play rules have prompted United to become more proactive sellers, though club sources insist that no player will be forced out, and Erik Ten Hag does not want to sanction sales that would weaken the squad. Varane wants to stay at United, but feels he could be forced to move, which is interesting because anyway, I'll come back to that. Casemiro is sidelined until Christmas with a hamstring problem, and his drop-off in form have convinced United to consider selling. To me, if we go through this, I don't think we need to say anything about Martial, Sancho and Donny van de Beek. I think everyone can agree why you would want to sell those 3 players. The question marks are Varane and Casemiro. This is slightly contradictory to certain reports that we've seen that actually Varane's the one who's saying, he might be wanting to leave. He's the one who's decided he wants to leave. I've seen more people saying that Varane's, up for going than I have United are trying to sell him. So that's an interesting one. And Casemiro is the one to me that I know that his form has dropped off a little bit, but he starts pretty much every week he's fit. So when we talk about you don't want to weaken the squad, you don't want to sanction sales that would weaken the squad, selling Casemiro would definitely weaken the squad. Yeah. Because regardless of what you think of him, if we can get the player we got last season, which is only last season, I know he wasn't amazing for all of it, but even Casemiro, post Carabao Cup final, when he wasn't particularly great, he's still better than Scott McTominay this season. Yeah. He just is. So I'm slightly surprised at Casemiro. What do you make of them two, Varane and Casemiro in particular? The thing with Casemiro is, are we witnessing the end of him? Maybe. We don't know. No. This is the thing. I wouldn't say yes. at least want to see him back in the United shirt.
Absolutely.
Because his performance against Brentford was abysmal.
Yeah.
As bad as I've ever seen him play. I've not watched loads of him at Madrid, but certainly as bad as I've seen him play for Manchester United. And you go, okay, he's 31, I think. Is this the end of him as a top-level footballer, or was he just in a funk? Because he did have a bad start to the season in general, but that Brentford game in particular. Varane, we've already spoke about. There was rumours, weren't there, that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was not impressed with the Casemiro signing, and he used it as an example of what not to do, spend 70 million and another 40 million on wages or whatever for a 30-year-old and put him on a 5-year deal. It's insanity. So maybe there's something in that. The others, Martial, I don't think he's out in it anymore. No. Jadon Sancho has been a disastrous signing. Donny van der Beek has done nothing since he arrived at Manchester United, barring the odd goal. So I won't lose too much sleep over the last three. It's a shame because I had high hopes for... I didn't know a lot about Donny van der Beek. I had very high hopes for Anthony Martial after that first season. And Jadon Sancho, I couldn't wait to see him in the United shirt, and he's just flattered to deceive. Varane, we spoke about. Casemiro. Let's wait and see. Bit premature to start selling midfielders, especially when we're over-relying on 18-year-olds. I'm going to wrap it up there. Yep. Joseph, it's been an absolute pleasure, my friend.
Thank you.
As always, go and check out the Sloppy Joe's podcast. Very, very funny stuff there, because you've got him, you've got Joe McGrath, and you've got Ethan James as well. I'm going to be back in the morning with the news. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. A big thank you before I wrap up to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Big thank you to Witterbird for dishing out their memberships.
Thank you.
Danny Rigo says, how's Joe's job going at the local dojo's canteen? Sorry, I forgot to read that out. BM says, manager has no charisma, which elite managers need. BM says, Erik Ten Hag lacks charisma. Oh, he said it twice, but worded it slightly different. He says he needs charisma. It helps, but not all managers are charismatic. No. You can have a little bit of lack of charisma, be very methodical, and still get results and win football matches. You know, it's not the be-all and end-all having a bit of charisma. Sometimes it's overrated, but we'll see what happens anyway. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks for watching.